Yes, welcome back into our channel, ladies and gentlemen, and it is all about learning. How are you this evening? And I know that it is quite a bright, sunny evening here where I am, and I'm just thinking, and I'm saying that it is all about learning because I always state it here: the moment you stop learning, that is the time you start falling behind. And I just want to look at a few principles because it is also stated that. It is the Hofer who said it that the literacy of the 21st century is not about those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot are not able to learn and relearn. That is the most important thing that we're looking here. That are you able to unlearn those particular philosophies that you or the paradigms that have remained stuck in your mind because we're talking about results and you're looking at two positions in life that are quite important. Where are you? And where are you going? You know, most people don't know where we are. That is the most important. The most because they're looking at if everybody knows, everybody has a goal. Because do we really know where we are? That is because of the paradigms that has been placed into us, remain stuck into our mind for a quite long period of time. And the simple question is that results, how do you get results? And so many people are wishing and looking into changing or permanently changing their results. And the big question is, why not? It is simple. And they say that for us to at least get some improvement in our results, stated clearly that you must have a sort of a person that have those particular results that you desire, a kind of a mentor or a kind of a person that you can sit down and talk to. And I was talking to a guy that has results that uh, uh, this community must have, because we're talking about that these are community that you must join. That if you're not yet joined this community, you are doing yourself injustice, because these are going that another 10, 15 years you're going to stand in a spot or a position that even the whole world will wonder, how did you make it here? Because the world is not even ready to receive the results that you are creating. You're working on something and it's just building. I talk about 1% improvement daily. That is what is quite important. What are you doing? What did you do today? And I always stated that the most important principle that I want us that you burn in your mind is to work from a list. When you wake up, you must write a list down and you go on checking it off by the end of the day and see that what percentage have you achieved today. And that is if you do that every day for 30 days, it sticks in your mind. And we're looking at some principles that are very simple and you can apply, but you know that simple things are not very easy, and that is why they're not very easy to do. And I was talking to a guy and he talked about several principles on how you can really change the results, and they call them the blueprint of success. And success in all fields, that is, be it success in wealth, talk of skills, or even knowledge. How do you in wealth? He talks about something that I kept in my mind for a quite a long period of time, is the multiple sources of income. That's the first principle he mentioned. He talked about this, he called it the spread. The spread is the key to creation of wealth, ladies and gentlemen. It is multiple sources of income. We talk about most wealth that has been created. It started from a salary, but a salary alone, in rare occasion, the salary creates wealth. Salary is a primary income, and we cannot use our primary income in fleeting lifestyles. We're looking at what can we do to create, well, these multiple sources of income. Look at guys that have created wealth. What have they done? They have multiple sources of income. And what we are talking about in this community, how can we create multiple sources of income? And we are looking at it in a way that can be passive, that create a passive multiple source of an income. That is what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. And talked about that great enemy of creation of wealth is fleeting lifestyles. What happens? Look at most people believe that you must enjoy whatever comes. You have worked. You must always Appreciate your body, be thankful. But it's the earliest, that stage is not for appreciation. The salary is not used for for just thanking your body. That's what we are looking at this particular point. Ladies and gentlemen, we talked about that. What do you see in the society when you get a little raise, you go for nicer cars. When you get a little bit of a promotion, you go for a big apartment. When you get a little bit of bonus, you go for a vacation. The spread never widens. It remains the same. Give an analogy that a person earning, like, look at a person earning 2 million, like $2 million in a year can be the same, can be put mathematically equal to a person earning 30,000 in a year, as long as all of them are spending it. Because there's no primary production taking place. The only thing that is different is the field that they're playing. But the only thing that all the things remains constant because they're not producing anything. But now what we talk about is after, because we are looking at the little you get. It's not about how much you earn, but it's how do you use that you have earned. So the next principle that he talked about is how do we now use this money or this resource that you have kept aside. The next is he called it a soldier test, and he gave a very serious analogy of every dollar that enters your hand is a soldier, and a soldier has a function, has a destination, and has a commanding officer. And any money or any dollar that is on your hands or you are in possession of, you are the commanding officer, and you are just almost to give a command. And there are only 3 commands that you can give. The first command is go and die for nothing. That is the money, you send it out there and takes exchanges into transactions that normally brings back no value. You pay some dinner for friends that are just there because of paying dinner. You buy maybe a drink for maybe friends and maybe some families. Maybe they're just there because of the drink. Go there and for parties, that is just buy some food. Yeah, those are fleeting lifestyles, expenses. The next thing that you say that that kind of an expense or transactions brings no value, and that dollar is said to have died for nothing. The next is this. They said also the next command that you can give your dollar is go and defend the lifestyle. That is the money you send outside there just to pay bills, pay rent, pay transport to work, buy groceries, pay electric bills, pay water bills, pay gas, fuel. That is just, yeah, it is fine. It is healthy and it is comfortable. It defends the position. But do you know what? It just defended the position so that more soldiers can be recruited next month to do the same. No soldier ever wins on defensive alone. The next command that you also talked about that you can also give to your soldier is go and capture more soldiers. And he put it clearly that every soldier that comes into your hands, the first percentage of those soldiers should be sent out to capture more soldiers. And he outlined it. It can take a percentage, put on a dividend stock, put on an index fund, put on maybe rental property, buy an equity in a simple business. You can even start a business if you have an idea. You can buy a book, buy a tool, invest on a course, a skill. That is quite important. You're talking about all those things that can bring some sort of income when you are asleep. That is there's a philosophy that has been used, the Babylonian philosophy that has been used for decades and decades, and even for now more than a century. Paying yourself first. Paying yourself first is a wealth philosophy, and when you listen to it, you might think that it is maybe you should be treating yourself. No, it is not treating yourself first. It's pay yourself first. It means that before paying your rent, before buying your groceries, a certain percentage fixed amount is sent into an asset. It's not because it is convenient, because it is automatic. You automate it so that if it is 10%, 20%, 40%, it's sent fast before you pay anything. That is, you are changing the ground. The public rule says that the once you get your pay, your income, pay the bills, spend what, then anything that remains you can save, and if possible, if something is there, you can invest. Change the old rule. Say that the amount that comes into your 10%, 20%, what you can fix it, automate it, goes direct into an asset. Asset can be anything. Can be an equity in business, can be paying for a rent, paying for a, maybe buying a rental property, maybe just a simple money market fund, maybe a simple dividend stock, maybe a simple index fund. That is what you are looking at. That is a principle that has stayed for decades, and several people are using it to create wealth. And the next principle this guy talked about is something that you have to look at yourself. There are a lot of honesty and really question yourself. And he talked about the dead decade. The dead decade. A decade. He talked about this is where we are looking at a time when you are starting to invest and save. There is that time that is totally, it looks like nothing is happening. It's a decade. The first 10 years is a dry decade. It's also called the compounding decade. Because so many people, you save and invest, save and invest, save, invest. The seventh year, when you look back, it's like you are doing nothing. Nothing seems to work. When you look at the numbers on the screen, it still reflects you. All the mathematical rights shows that you are still poor. You are still driving the same car that you were driving like 8 years ago. You are still living in the same apartment you are living the 8 years ago. You are still doing the same things you are doing 8 years ago. And you look at it and say that, do you know what the public rule says? Change the strategy if it doesn't work. Take for something, go into crypto. Look at something, anything that seems to compress the timeline. Go for it. But do you know what the ground code says? It says that do nothing. Focus and stay the course. The first 10 years is meant to be slow. You are just on a curve that is not linear. That is the compounding effect. It was said that is the 8th wonders of the world, because it's not that because it creates a lot of money, but because it compounds a lot of interest comes at the end, towards the end of the 10, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, after a long period of investment. That is when you see the huge return that you take. So talking about creating even a skill or knowledge in this case, it will take time. It takes persistence and focus. And look at a river. When it is a river, curves, even rocks. Do you know why? It's not because it is wide. It is because of the persistence of the water passing on that rock every day. And look at a farmer. A story has been told about a bamboo tree, a Chinese bamboo tree. A farmer plants a seed of a Chinese bamboo tree. For 5 good years, nothing seems to happen. But the farmer each and every morning goes there with the water can to water. As the neighbors passing by are wondering, what has this farmer been watering here? Even they go that the rumors are on the neighborhood that you are planting a Chinese bamboo tree. And when some people will ask, this what you have been, these are the results that you have for the last 4 years. Sure? But look at it. In the 5th year, the seed break even. It breaks the ground. And once it breaks the ground, in less than 8 months, it grows 30 meters tall. So the question is, did it grow 30 meters tall in 5 months, or did it grow 30 meters tall in 5 years, 5 months? The first 5 years, it was building roots that can hold it the moment it will shoot 30 meters tall. And that is what I'm talking about. The time you are investing, the time you are saving and investing for the first 10 years, you're building roots. And even on a skill, the time you are reading, it is an experience you're building. For the first 5, 10 years, you are building an experience, a skill that is going to pay huge. The thing is focus and persistence. The next thing the guy talked about is something that has a lot of conspiracy, and so many people talk about that you should specialize. Specialization is the key, but he said no. The specialization is never the key, because you can never. It is the mathematically it is impossible to be the best in a skill, in a single skill. You are competing to be a top 1% on a single skill is mathematically it is impossible, because you are competing against millions who are who have a decade of a head start, who are naturally talented. And therefore we say that to beat this, at least have combine at least three skills that can be used at once. Like he talked about, a doctor is not rich, but a doctor who can also, who have some knowledge in marketing and also have a niche in a certain area in medicine, can create an empire. An engineer is not rich, but an engineer who has also another skill in marketing and also a skill in software writing, this engineer can build a huge company. Those are three skills combined. I talked about the three skills combined can put you at least top 66% over 100. That is fine. That will give. So talk about that. The specialization is not the key, but have at least three stacks. Let's call it stacking of skills. Three skills, at least three skills that can be used. Like a barber is not rich, but a barber who does some business management and owns some 3 barbershops, that barber becomes rich. Those are some of few principles that he talked about. And also another important, he talked about so many things, but another important factor or a principle that he also mentioned is network. A network is a quiet network. And as very simple question that he posed, that who are the 5 people that you spend most of your time with that are not non-family members? The 5 people you spend your time with at work, the 5 people you spend your time with in the gym, the 5 people you spend your time with in the evening, on weekends, on hobbies, those 5 people. And so that, look at them. What is the average of their finance? What is the average of their ambitions? What are the average of their skills? And so that an overall will be an average of them in terms of their skills, in terms of their finance, in terms of their ambitions. If you have 5 good friends that you spend most of your time with, and what they do is to discuss real estate management, to discuss investments, to discuss the books that they've read, is you also start discussing the real estate management. You also start also reading and discussing the books. You also start doing certain skills that put you in that particular niche that they are. But if you have 5 good friends that you spend most of your time with, that the most thing that you can discuss is go out on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for parties, to drink, you start falling behind. It is a very hard truth to swallow, because it's a very hard line, I know. And even don't think that we are good, but we are just learning. All of us are learning. And there's a time, another 10, 5 years, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not yet joined this community, kindly join the community, subscribe, and always try to comment, to say something. Let us talk, let us engage. And there is a point that we'll reach, at a point that that I want us to move in a certain, there's something in you that you want to develop, be it a skill, be it a certain piece of knowledge that you're working on. Maybe you want to be wealthy, There's a vision in that you want to build. You can have, because there's a saying that says that if you want to walk far, get a niche of like-minded individuals, work together. But if you want to walk very fast, walk alone. The journey of building wealth or real success in any niche is a long journey. And it's a journey that needs a niche of like-minded individual that you can work with together. So as we move forward, go with this. Do something about it. Take a paper. This practical. And this is, I'm talking about this community. We want to be very practical. Take a paper and write on top of the next 30 days. Just write something that any income that is going to come into my hands, I'm going to take 10%, 20%, 30%, save and invest. Just write it. That's the first thing that you're going to do. Just simple thing like that. For the next 30 days, just practice that. Just practice that. The next thing is skill stacking. I want us just write the next number 2, that for the next 30 days, I will take 30 minutes to identify a field that of interest to you. That you have a little bit of an interest in, apart from the work that you are doing. Be it an AI, be it on marketing, be it on business management, be on maybe baby care, anything that you think that, go into a niche. There are several online tutorials, and just say that for each and every day I'll spend 30 minutes learning this particular skill without a fail for the next 30 days. If you do that, 30 days is a test. You will come back and get the results. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and be blessed.